joining us now, great to welcome to our book talk segment the woman who's written a nice follow-up novel to her previous one that did very well called 5 Days Left. That was her debut novel. Her follow-up is now called Untethered. We're going to find out all about it. It has to do with rehoming and problems with the modern family, and an interesting story that she's written. Julie Lawson Timmer joined us by telephone. And Julie, good to talk with you. How are you today?
I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to have a chance to talk with you. Just reading through the notes, I understand you grew up in Canada. My grandparents and my mother were all over from Canada, so good to talk to a native.
Oh, good.
Newfoundlanders. I don't think you're from that part of the country, but yeah.
Ontario, yeah.
Well, first of all, congratulations not only on this book, but the previous one did quite well. Got a lot of great attention from really a tough kind of story you wrote about. And this also, I had a chance to read through the book, and really, even though it's a novel, it's based on something that's going on, which I never really heard of, called rehoming, right? Had to do with adoption and adopting children, giving their adopted children to strangers. Kind of interesting.
Exactly. Rehoming occurs when adoptive parents give away their adopted child, like you said, to strangers, and often after placing an ad for the children on the Internet, and with no legal oversight or court approval and no background check. So, as you can imagine, these children can end up in some pretty terrible situations after this happens to them.
Yeah, I never really heard that term before. I always assumed, I guess most people do, when people adopt a child, that they're in their home for till they're 18 or 21 or whatever. But this apparently goes on quite a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think most people assume, and that's certainly what's supposed to happen. You adopt a child, then they're yours forever. But, some families are not sufficiently prepared for the challenges of adoption, and some are given inadequate information about the child, and some of these children have had severe childhood trauma. So they arrive in these homes with some major mental health issues, and they can often be a danger to their parents or the other children in the home. And so, parents in this crisis situation where they have this child that they promise to love forever and want to love forever, but they have other children in the home who may be being threatened, they feel that they don't have any choice. And so they, out of desperation, turn to the Internet and try to find somebody else to take this child so that maybe the child will have a better future and then that family will be safer. And sometimes the child may have a better future and sometimes they may have a much worse future.
Now, when people do this, is there paperwork involved, or are they just kind of giving them away and that's it? I mean, there's no real legal paperwork involved, right?
Yeah, well, that's the problem, that these are unregulated child custody transfers. So there is no legal oversight, no court approval, and because there are no state or federal agencies that track children once they're adopted, we don't know how often this is happening. Mm-hmm. We just don't know how many children have been rehomed because you're right, there's no trace.
And this leads to the story. Again, this is a novel, but based on this particular situation, which unfortunately is going on. And talk a little bit about the story. I never like to give too much away when I talk to a novelist, so you tell as much of the story as you like.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, Untethered is the name of the book, and it came out today. It tells the story of Shar Hawthorne. She's a stepmom to a 15-year-old girl named Allie. And before the book even begins, Shar's husband dies, so that's Allie's dad. And this leaves open the question of who Allie should live with. Shar, this devoted stepmom who's raised her full-time for the past several years but doesn't have legal rights to her, or Allie's biological mom, who's this self-involved woman who lives across the country and has never been interested in parenting, but now has sole legal rights to the child since her dad died. And then Shar and Allie are friends with a family who adopted a daughter from foster care. But then that daughter had some issues that they felt incapable of dealing with, so they rehomed her by advertising her on the Internet and then giving her away to people who offered to take her. So it deals with these two issues that we're seeing more in kind of modern families of today, adoption and blended families.
Did you, when you decided to write this particular story, do you do some research? I guess, I don't know how you go about it. I guess people aren't really willing to tell you that they've done this, but how do you research this particular thing to draw a story around it?
Yeah, I sure did do a lot of research. I tend to research pretty heavily all my books before I write them. And I talked to, there's a great Reuters article that came out about rehoming, and there are various articles that I found. And also I talked to a legal expert who has dealt with children in foster care and who have been rehomed. And I talked to a number of, child psychologists, social workers, foster care agency workers, and lawyers to get, a good understanding of what legal issues are and the psychological and emotional issues around this devastating situation of rehoming.
Yeah. Do you get a sense from the research that anything's being done to either, maybe not to prevent it, but I guess prevent it is maybe the right term, or make it a better situation for people that do this, make it more legal?
Yeah, I mean, the good news is that a handful of states have already enacted legislation that makes it not only illegal to rehome children or to offer them on the Internet or cross state lines with them, give them away across state lines, but also these states have really made a movement to improve post-adoption services. So often what happens is you've got this family who desperately wants to keep this child, but the child needs such intensive mental health therapy that maybe that's not available in their state, or maybe it's really expensive and they can't afford it, or maybe they're afraid to admit that they need that help because there's a stigma attached to saying that you can't take care of your child. So a lot of states are really trying to improve the services that would follow these families, and so would be able to treat the child let them stay in the adoptive family so that adoption can remain successful. So the good news is some states have enacted that legislation, and other states have proposed that legislation, and it's actually been proposed at the federal level as well. So hopefully with those kinds of services being, beefed up in many states, then families, even with children who have major issues, will be able to keep those children and provide those forever homes that they intended to, and that's better for the family and better for the child.
Yeah, it's good to hear that at least something being done about it. Again, you mentioned your main character, Char Hawthorne. She's really the woman that goes through this as a parent. Do you base her on anybody that you met, a composite, or how'd you put her together? You did a great job of, you can kind of get the feeling when you read through the book, the dialogue and all that, what she's going through.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Char is the stepmom so she's not part of the adopted family, but she's the stepmom, and I didn't really base her on anybody, but I am a stepmom, and so I know what the challenges and the joys of step-parenting are like. I have a number of stepmom friends and stepdad friends as well, so I never really base my characters on any one particular person. They're usually a composite of people I know or people I can imagine must be out there based on what I know of these various situations. So that's really what she is.
Yeah. Well, again, it's a great read. Again, it's a novel, but based on things that are going on, particularly in adoption, rehoming, but a good story as well. Again, it's called Untethered. We've been talking with Julie Lawson Timmer today. And Julie, give out a website. People can get more information about you and the book.
Yeah, I will. And I also want to mention that I'm going to be in Tampa at the Oxford Exchange on Sunday, June 26th at 11 a.m. So it's an event open to the public where we're going to talk about this book and these issues. So any of your listeners who want to drop by, would love to see them. And also they can find me at www.julielawsontimmer.com or buy the book. It went on sale today, and it's wherever books are sold.
Great. Julie, pleasure talking to you, and hopefully we can do it again down the road. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Doug.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or Doug Miles Media.